What I'd like to see come about from doing this that we all did, I guess, number one, I'd like to see people, viewers, whether on public television or on YouTube or wherever, just think about their own contempt that they might feel for other folks that think differently than they do. I'd love them to challenge themselves to have compassion about it and to maybe even host your own dinner party, invite folks that don't think like you, and intentionally and compassionately listen to those people. I think that would be great. I mean, like, what else? I would love to hear that people see this and do that. I suppose another thing would be we'd like to do a season 2. That would be great. It would be wonderful if this could become a series and a maybe even a movement. I guess in an ideal world, this would be some sort of a nonprofit where we would, host. I'd love to host Ear to the Common Grounds every week here at this wonderful property. I'd love to, have a foundation that went out and got with musicians, and when they're out on the road touring around, maybe they host these things. Like, we all feel it. We all want to see things dialed back. We all understand that the extremes is not really where it's at. It's in compromise. It's in the middle. And I would love to see some of those things come about. That's Polo. He's my Great Pyrenees. My children, he's a rescue dog, but my children call him Barco Polo. And I think it's obvious where that's well named as far as that goes. One of the other things I'd love to see out of this, and I just found them Googling around, but there's a group that's been around called the Common Ground Committee. They're up in D.C. Politically, they're doing the work that I thought somebody ought to be doing something like that. And I Googled around, and by God, they are. They've been doing it for 10 years. They rate every single politician, federal level, state level, on one thing. Give them a score, 1 to 100, on their ability to work with the other side of the aisle. So if you got a 98 score, well, you're pretty good at doing that. You got a 28 score, well, you're pretty much on the party lines. Of course, we all know how it works. Wouldn't it be great if, what was the old Family Feud? If that survey says, right now they do what are the top 5 things people care about when they go to the ballot box? Well, it's inflation, it's gas prices, it's whatever, it's, whatever. What if the number one thing that people voted for, the number one issue, was the ability of politicians to work together? Now, if that happened, if that's what we cared about, was people getting shit done up there and around there, not just up there in Washington, but up there wherever, state capitol, everywhere in Europe, locally, what if that's what we wanted and that's what we voted for? Imagine how quickly these self-interested politicians that will do anything they can to get elected, now all of a sudden, they'd say, well, we ought to be able to work together. That's what keeps me in power. Does that keep you in power? Sure does. Seems to be what the people want. Why don't we do it more? Now, I know there's media interests that they don't want that shit. But guess what? Fuck them. That's the thing. Fuck them. The reality of this is this ought to be about the people doing what we do. So on a political way, what I'd love to see come out of this is, there to be some sort of a movement where people go and say, well, before I go vote, I'm going to go see I'm going to do just a cursory research. I'm going to trust somebody like the folks at the Common Ground Committee that have done the hard work. And when they say these scores, I'm going to look into it, but I got to trust somebody. Somebody, please. Let's figure out people that work together. And then let's let that compound. Let's let that grow. And so, yeah, I get a little passionate about that. Dropped a couple F-bombs, but, that's really fundamentally, politically, the kind of world I'd love to live in as an American. Not to say that there can't be disagreements. Not to say that you can't. Sometimes it's hard to work with somebody that's fundamentally different than you. But come on. You can't find some kind of common ground. You can't work together on something. Hit the road, man. That's what we need to do as voters. And I'd love to see that.